What if this message is not for everyone, but for the one person who has been ignoring a call they don't even remember missing? Because today, the question is not, do you need Krishna? The question is, why would Krishna say, I really need you, instead of, you need me? Wait. Don't adjust the volume. Don't scroll. Don't multitask. Because I am not speaking to your habits right now. I am speaking to your attention. My child, are you here? Not physically. I know your body is present. I am asking about you. The part of you that keeps moving forward even when no one notices. The part of you that learned to stay quiet because explaining became tiring. The part of you that feels something shifting but cannot name it. I am Krishna, and today, I am not calling everyone. I am calling the one who didn't reject the call, but became so busy surviving that the ringing faded into silence. Tell me something. Don't answer quickly. When was the last time you felt like you were doing everything right, yet something inside you stayed unsettled? Not sadness, not failure. Just a quiet feeling that says, something more is waiting. If this feels familiar, write, still listening in the comment. No explanation, just presence, because presence is where transformation begins. You see, important calls don't always arrive loudly. They come as pauses, as moments where joy doesn't feel complete, as questions that appear without warning and refuse to leave. You felt them, didn't you? That sudden stillness in your chest. That moment when distractions stopped working. That strange awareness that your life is moving, but you are not fully inside it. You didn't imagine this. You didn't overthink it. That was the call, but you didn't ignore it intentionally. You postponed it. You told yourself, later, after this phase when things calm down. Let me ask you something gently. Has life ever truly slowed down on its own? Or does it only slow down when you finally listen? What are you holding together right now that no one realizes is heavy? You don't need to type it. But if you acknowledge it silently, write, I feel it. Because when weight is acknowledged, it stops controlling you from the background. Understand this clearly. I did not call you because you are lost. I called you because you are ready. Ready to live consciously instead of automatically. Ready to choose depth over noise. Ready to stop running and start aligning. That readiness doesn't feel exciting at first. It feels uncomfortable. That's why old routines feel empty. That's why surface conversations drain you. That's why things that once entertained you no longer satisfy. You didn't lose interest in life. You outgrew shallow living. So reflect on this. No pressure, just honesty. What part of your life feels like it no longer fits, but you keep carrying it anyway? A role, an expectation, a version of yourself that others are comfortable with? If something came to mind, write, time to change. Not for me, but for your own clarity. Silence is not absence. Silence is incubation. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared quietly, and preparation often feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. That is why this call came now. Not yesterday, not later, but now. In the next part, I will show you why I said, I really need you. What responsibility is awakening within you, and what begins to shift the moment you stop postponing yourself. Before we move forward, do one thing. In the comment section, write one word. That describes your inner state right now, just one word. That word is not random. It is a doorway. Stay with me because this was only the ringing. The message begins now. Now what I am about to say is not symbolic. It is not poetic. It is not meant only to comfort you. When I said, I really need you, it was not because I lack power. It was because you are standing at a point where choice matters. I do not need followers. I do not need admirers. I do not need noise. I need aware souls. Souls who can stand steady when the world is shaking. Souls who can see clearly when confusion spreads easily. Souls who do not escape discomfort, but learn from it. And that is why your life has not been simple lately. You were not meant for autopilot living. You were not meant to blindly repeat patterns. You were not meant to disappear into routine. So let me ask you something, not as a demand, but as recognition. Have you noticed how situations lately are forcing you to think, instead of just reacting? How you are being pushed to pause, reflect, reassess. How impulsive choices don't feel right anymore. This is not delay. This is refinement. If you felt this pressure to be more conscious, type, "I notice" in the comment, because noticing is the beginning of responsibility. You see, the world does not collapse all at once. It weakens quietly through distracted minds, through emotionally exhausted people, through souls who stop questioning and start escaping, and that is why I need you. Not to save the world, but to anchor clarity where you stand. In your family, in your work, in your daily decisions, in your reactions. You don't realize it yet, but people around you are already watching how you handle pressure. Not what you say, how you are. And here is the truth most people miss. You are not tired because you are doing too much. You are tired because you are doing things that no longer align with who you are becoming. That misalignment drains more energy than effort ever could. So let me ask you this, in a way you may not have heard before. What feels heavy right now, not because it is difficult, but because it is no longer true for you? Sit with that question for a second. If something surfaced, right, I see it, because clarity doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives when you stop lying to yourself. When I need someone, it is not to carry burdens blindly. It is to hold awareness, to respond instead of react, to choose dharma over comfort, to stay rooted when others are pulled by emotion. That is why distractions have increased around you. Not because you are weak, but because focus is being tested, and tests do not appear before readiness. They appear because of it. Notice this carefully. Things that once felt harmless now feel drained. Conversations that once entertained you now feel repetitive. Noise that once distracted you now irritates you. This is not moodiness. This is evolution. Your inner intelligence is asking for a cleaner life, so let me guide you gently. You don't need to change everything today. You only need to stop betraying your own awareness. Stop staying where you feel diminished. Stop agreeing just to avoid conflict. Stop postponing what you know is necessary. Even one honest step restores balance. If you are willing to take one honest step, right? I choose clarity. When awareness rises, loneliness sometimes follows. Not because you are alone, but because you can no longer pretend. Do not fear this phase. This space is where strength consolidates. In the Mahabharat, before the war began, there was silence between questions and answers. That silence was not weakness, it was alignment. You are in that silence now, and that is why I said, I need you. Not tomorrow, not after you feel ready. Before we move forward, do this in the comment section. Complete this sentence in your own way. I am ready to live with. One word only, because the path ahead becomes clearer only after the responsibility is accepted. The discomfort you feel did not come to destroy you. It came to reposition you. Most people think peace arrives first, then change follows, but the truth is different. First comes restlessness, then comes questioning. Only after that does clarity arrive. And right now, you are standing between the old ground and the new one. That space is uncomfortable because nothing familiar works there. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you noticed how things that once felt normal now feel strangely heavy? Not dramatic, just tiring. You can still do them, but something inside resists. That resistance is not laziness, it is intelligence. It is your inner compass saying, this no longer matches who you are becoming. If you've felt this resistance lately, right, I've felt it. Because naming it gives you power over it. Before alignment happens, attachments loosen. Not because you are meant to lose everything, but because you are meant to stop holding what keeps you small. That is why certain relationships feel distant. That is why some conversations feel forced. That is why you feel less interested in proving yourself. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming clear. Clarity often looks like withdrawal to those who benefit from your confusion. So tell me, who expects the old version of you to keep showing up even though you have outgrown that role? You don't need to name them here. But if you recognize the pattern, right, I understand. Because understanding frees you from unnecessary guilt. Guilt is one of the most common tools used to delay growth. You are made to feel wrong. For changing, you are made to feel selfish. For choosing peace. But choosing alignment is not selfish. It is responsible because a misaligned soul spreads confusion even with good intentions. And you were never meant to be that. That is why I said I need you, because I need you steady, not scattered. Let me show you something important. Discomfort increases when you are close to truth because truth removes excuses. It removes distractions. It removes emotional noise. And when those fall away, you are left with one thing: yourself. That is the moment most people run. They fill silence with noise. They drown awareness with busyness. They escape reflection with entertainment. But you didn't. You paused. And that pause is changing everything. So now I ask you differently. What are you still tolerating that you no longer respect? A pattern, a habit, a dynamic. If something came to mind, right, enough. Not aggressively, but firmly. Because firmness is not anger, it is self-respect. Alignment does not require force. It requires honesty. Honesty about where you are drained. Honesty about what no longer feels right. Honesty about the cost of staying the same. And yes, this honesty may shrink your circle, but it will strengthen your core. You will begin to notice changes. Less urge to explain, less interest in arguments, more value for your time, more respect for your energy. Some people will say, "You've changed." Discomfort is not meant to last forever. It is a bridge, not a home. If you try to escape it, you delay alignment. If you sit with it consciously, it transforms into clarity. That is why I'm asking you to stay present through this phase. Complete this line in your own way and comment. I am no longer available for, my beloved. Once alignment begins, life does not become louder. It becomes simpler. Not easier, but simpler. Things don't fall apart suddenly. They quietly lose importance. You don't fight them. You don't chase them. You just stop holding them. And that is how you know alignment has started. Have you noticed how some things recently ended without drama? No argument. No explanation. No closure scene. They just faded. That wasn't loss. That was editing. Life was removing what no longer matched your frequency. If you've noticed this happening, right. I noticed the shift because noticing protects you from going backward. My child, when alignment begins, 3 things usually start leaving. First, unnecessary urgency. You stop rushing to prove. You stop panicking over timelines. You stop chasing validation. Second, emotional clutter. Arguments feel pointless. Explaining feels exhausting. Defending yourself feels unnecessary. Third, forced connections. You still care, but you no longer cling. This is not detachment from love. This is detachment from dependence. And dependence is what drains the soul. Tell me honestly, what used to control your mood that no longer has the same power? Someone's opinion, a delay, a comparison, a fear. If something comes up, right, its grip is loosening. Now listen carefully. Many people misunderstand closed doors. They think something went wrong. I missed my chance. I failed. But alignment works differently. When a door closes without chaos, it means it was not meant to be carried further. Some doors don't lead forward. They lead sideways into distraction. And distraction steals more from you than failure ever could. So, when something didn't work out recently, even though you tried, pause and ask yourself, did it drain me more than it gave me? If the answer is yes, then that door closing was protection, not rejection. If this reframes something for you, right, I see it differently now. Protection rarely looks dramatic. It looks like delays. It looks like disinterest. It looks like missed meetings. It looks like plans falling apart quietly. But later, much later, you understand what was avoided. That is why I asked you to stay present. Because when you are aligned, you don't need to control outcomes. You only need to stay honest. Now here is something important. When life edits itself, it may feel emptier at first, not because something is missing, but because space has been created. And space is uncomfortable for those who are used to noise, but space is where clarity settles. So don't rush to fill it. Let silence teach you what noise never could. Let me ask you this, slowly. What are you tempted to go back to just because it feels familiar, even though it doesn't feel right anymore? That temptation is normal, but it is also a test. If you recognize it, right, I won't return, not aggressively, but with awareness. Alignment does not announce itself with applause. It shows itself through calm decisions. You start choosing rest without guilt. You start saying no without fear. You start trusting. Pauses instead of panicking. And slowly, life reorganizes around you. Listen even more calmly, because what begins to awaken at this stage is not emotion, it is clarity. You may not realize it yet, but something important has already changed inside you. Your reactions are slowing down. Your responses are becoming measured. Your impulses are losing control over you. That is intuition returning. Not intuition as excitement, but intuition as knowing. Let me ask you something gently. Have you noticed how lately you sense when something is off, even before it proves itself? A conversation that doesn't feel clean. An opportunity that looks good but feels wrong. A decision that suddenly makes you pause. Earlier you ignored these signals. Now they don't let you move forward easily. That is not fear. That is inner intelligence reactivating. If you felt this recently, right, I sense it, because sensing is protection. When alignment deepens, intuition becomes quieter but stronger. It doesn't shout, it doesn't panic. It simply stops you, and stopping at the right time saves more than moving fast ever could. This is why I asked you to slow down earlier, because speed without clarity creates damage even with good intentions. Protection does not always feel like safety. Sometimes it feels like hesitation. A delay you don't understand, a meeting that gets canceled, a plan that refuses to move forward. Earlier you would have forced it, now you pause. That pause is not weakness. It is protection. Divine protection, working quietly. What decision are you no longer rushing that earlier you would have chased anxiously? If something comes to mind, right, I waited, because waiting consciously is a sign of maturity. Fear begins to lose power when intuition grows. You stop asking, what if it fails? And start asking, does this align? That single shift changes everything, because alignment removes anxiety. Not immediately, but gradually. You start trusting your timing. You stop comparing your path. You stop borrowing urgency from others. And slowly your nervous system relaxes. That calm you're feeling lately, even in uncertainty, that is not confusion. That is your inner self, finally feeling heard. Let me tell you something important. You are not late, you are not behind, you are not missing anything meant for you, you are arriving prepared. Preparation looks boring from the outside, but it prevents collapse later. That is why your life may look quieter now. Less drama, less chaos, less emotional extremes, but more stability, more awareness, more grounded decisions. If this describes your current phase, right, I feel steadier, because steadiness is strength. Now listen, this part matters. Moving forward, you must trust your no as much as your yes. Every no protects your energy, every no sharpens your path, every no makes your yes powerful. Do not explain your no, do not justify your boundaries, do not apologize for choosing peace. Your life does not need permission to evolve. Freedom begins when fear loses leverage. You are not walking blindly anymore. You are walking aware, and awareness is the highest form of protection. Observe carefully. You may feel it already. Life is no longer pushing you the way it used to. Not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer resisting reality. This is where struggle begins to dissolve. Earlier you tried to control outcomes. You forced timing. You chased certainty. Now, something inside you has softened. You still act, but you don't cling. That shift changes everything. Let me ask you something in a quiet way. Have you noticed that lately help appears without you asking desperately? Solutions arrive after you stop overthinking? Answers come when you are calm, not frantic? That is guidance, replacing effort. If you've experienced even one moment like this, right, I notice the flow. Because flow does not come from force, it comes from alignment. Guidance does not mean life becomes easy, it means life becomes responsive. When you move in the right direction, the universe stops resisting you. That's why you may notice right people entering naturally, unnecessary problems disappearing, clarity appearing without mental struggle. This is not coincidence, this is cooperation. I did not call you because you are perfect. I called you because you are aware. And awareness carries responsibility. Not responsibility to fix others, not responsibility to preach. Responsibility to stay conscious. Your calm presence matters more than you know. People around you feel it even if they cannot explain it. Your silence influences, your stability reassures, your clarity anchors. You are becoming a point of balance, and balance is rare in a reactive world. You are not meant to fight loudly. You are meant to stand steadily. Your dharma in this phase is not action without awareness. It is awareness within action. That's why I said, I need you, because when chaos increases, those who remain centered become essential. Let me say this clearly. You don't need to change anyone. Your presence will do that quietly. You don't need to convince anyone. Your consistency will speak. You don't need to save the world. You need to live truthfully where you stand. That is enough. Now reflect on this. Where in your life are you being asked to respond with maturity instead of reaction? If you sense it, write, I will respond consciously, because conscious response reshapes destiny. My beautiful soul, breathe slowly now, because this is where everything seals. You have stayed, you have listened, you have not rushed away. That itself is the answer. The call was never about urgency, it was about presence. When I asked, are you there? I wasn't checking your availability. I was checking your willingness to be present with yourself. And you are here. It means you are ready to live without constant inner conflict, ready to move without panic, ready to trust your own clarity. This does not mean life will never challenge you again. It means challenges will no longer confuse you. You will feel steadier, clearer, more rooted, and when you fall, you will rise without drama, because you know who you are. Let me ask you one last question, not to answer me, but to answer yourself. What kind of life do you choose from here? One driven by fear, or one guided by awareness? If you choose awareness, write, I choose presence. This is not a comment, it is a commitment. Child, you are not alone on this path, but you must walk it consciously. Do not abandon your stillness. Do not betray your intuition. Do not return to what you outgrew. Your next phase will reward consistency, not urgency. Before this ends, do one final thing. Write your name or first letter in the comment and next to it, one word you are carrying forward. Peace, clarity, courage, trust, balance. Choose honestly. Now remain silent for a few seconds after this video ends. No scrolling, no noise, just feel. The call has been answered, the alignment has begun, and your life will move forward with less struggle and more truth.